Passive-aggressive behavior, how to avoid it and handle others who don't. Passive-aggressive messages are anti-productive behaviors that develop when communication between two people is not honest and straightforward. These behaviors are used to gain control in a relationship. By using vague inferences and confusing language, frustrated recipients become defeated, often resentful. What does passive-aggressive behavior look like? Typically, this conduct arises when a person is dissatisfied with another individual. By disguising their unhappiness through undesirable demeanor, issues rarely get resolved. Make no mistake, passive-aggressive action is communication. A person that uses passive aggression has learned to deal with conflict indirectly. Just as all communication, passive-aggressive behaviors are 10% word and 90% actions. Here's an example of passive-aggressive behavior. Your good friend stomps around when she's mad at something you've done. Instead of confronting you about what's upsetting her, she throws a tantrum. This tactic strays you for the moment, but the real underlying problem goes unresolved, and you are left perplexed and baffled. Here's another example. You're mad at your parents for the curfew they instituted. Instead of discussing alternatives with them, you lash out with a bad temper. Acting out instead of communicating directly is a form of passive-aggressive behavior. Here are some examples of passive-aggressive oral statements. Guilt. Don't worry about me. Go have a good time. Or forget it. I'll do it myself. I wonder when the car is going to get fixed. Using humor and/or laughing to avoid a confrontation, such as demeaning another by stating, dumbest idea ever, think smarter. Body language like rolling your eyes, sighing loudly, or curling your lip during a conflict shows resentment and just asks for an argument. So why do people use passive-aggressive behaviors? Some people are not fully aware that their behavior is passive-aggressive because they learned this way of communicating from their parents or mentors. It's a built-in habit. Others know exactly how to utilize passive-aggressive behavior to accomplish what they want from someone else. Because this type of communication is not straightforward, but done in a very ambiguous way, passive-aggressive behavior is also known as crazy-making behavior. Some drawbacks to using passive-aggressive behaviors: they don't work as a long-term solution. Due to the indirect nature of passive-aggressive behavior, your counterpart may completely misunderstand your message. Recipients often understand passive aggression but refuse to comply. Passive-aggressive communication irritates your counterpart. Ultimately, this behavior builds a resentful climate and harms a relationship. So how do we stop passive-aggressive behavior cycles? If you want to stop them, the first thing you need to do is be able to recognize them. Next, getting to the root of communication problems and understanding behavior patterns. These steps: ask questions to clarify what was said. Paraphrase back what you think you heard. Use empathy to understand the other person's viewpoint. These are essential skills that will pave your way toward finding common ground, building stronger relationships, and coping with passive-aggressive behaviors. If you recognize passive-aggressive activities in your relationship, confront your other half about their behavior. However, be prepared for unexpected reactions due to the unpredictable nature of this conduct. Tread lightly, be respectful, and use perception checks to gain understanding. What's a perception check? Learn this skill next. Nobody can read another person's mind, but you do have the ability to learn more about what another person is thinking. The skill of perception checking provides a way to share your interpretations and enable a common understanding. Perception checks have three distinct parts: a description of the behavior you noticed, several possible interpretations of the behavior, and a request for clarification or explanation about how you should interpret the behavior. Perception checks serve a very important function during the communication process. It allows you to become aware of another's viewpoint, which helps you to understand the reason for their actions. Practicing perception checks routinely will make you more aware of what other people say, the content, and the meaning of what was intended behind what they say, the rational aspect. For example, I noticed that you've been really quiet lately. That's the behavior description. Are you feeling sick or are you upset? It's two possible interpretations. What's going on? This is a request for an explanation. Here's another example. I just heard that the promotion I applied for was given to Kim. This is the behavior description. Did my skills not qualify me for this job? This is your interpretation. Can you tell me your reasoning? This is the request for clarification. So what is a conflict? It can come in many forms, including argument, shouting match, disagreement, squabble, quarrel, struggle, controversy, feud, hostility, antagonism, bickering, not communicating, walking away, and sarcasm. A conflict needs two sides that have opposing ideas, beliefs, values, or interests. Conflicts are unavoidable. We all have different thoughts and feelings, which at some time will be challenged by someone else. We also have conflicting thoughts within ourselves. Daily or weekly choices can present inner struggles that make it difficult for us to make up our mind. Conflicts do not have to disrupt how you feel. How you perceive a situation can change your viewpoint and your gut feelings. Reactions to conflict are also learned behaviors picked up from our parents and our mentors. In a sense, others trained us to react in a particular manner. These behaviors become entrenched in us when we have no other point of reference to guide us. When we were young, we were vulnerable, or even mentored, learned behaviors become established. Our behaviors are simply habits. The good news is we can change our habits. We do this all the time. We change our diet to lose weight. We train and discipline ourselves to excel at competitions. Changing a habit means making a conscious choice. Therefore, it's by choice that we can change communication patterns, including passive-aggressive behaviors in ourselves. Conflicts are natural and inevitable. They provide a learning platform for understanding another person's viewpoint. Conflict is an expressed struggle between at least two people with incompatible ideas. The perceived outcome of a conflict may look as though one person wins, the other side must lose. The reality is that one person, or both, must compromise to find a solution. Conflicts arise when people think there isn't enough of something to go around, and they want to make sure that they get their fair share. The truth is, conflict helps to solve problems. Two heads are better than one in coming up with a solution. Conflicts can be temporarily uncomfortable, but are resolvable and can be constructive. Conflicts are interdependent, meaning the people engaged in a disagreement are dependent upon each other to keep the conflict alive. Let's take a look at skills you can develop when conflict crops up. You can cope. Use I statements. Avoid blaming the other person. Instead, use I statements to get your point across. Placing blame threatens and puts others on the defensive. Using I statements shifts the responsibility and consequently puts you in control. For example, instead of saying, "You are so bossy," use an I statement. "It really upsets me when I'm bossed around. Please don't." Confront the issues. Deal with the issues at hand. Do not attack a person's personality. For example, avoid personality attacks. "You are so stubborn. Why won't you go to the appointment on Friday?" Instead, confront the issue. We need to compromise and choose a day to go to the appointment. Find solutions. Learn what's at the heart of the issue and find a solution that satisfies the needs of all participants. Conflicts can become distorted and parties can get confused about their goals or intentions. For example, "This project is a mess." Instead, learn the issue. "I need to know specifically why this project isn't working for us. Let's take a consensus so we'll know what skills everyone can contribute to the project." Define your needs and share them with the offending person. Give specific examples of how to help the other person understand your point of view. For example, "Your music is so loud, turn it off." Instead, try identifying and communicating the needs. "I need to get up early for work and I need my sleep. I would appreciate if you would turn your stereo off by 9 o'clock on weeknights." On the other side, you need to hear out the other person's needs as well. This shows that you're interested in their welfare and will enable a cooperative atmosphere. For example, instead of saying, "I want to have the project arranged like this," if you're listening to other people's needs, you might say, "I appreciate your input. However, this project is directed by our budget." Be resourceful and create alternative solutions to resolve the problem. No one person has all the answers. Use many ideas to arrive at a suitable outcome, then evaluate the merits of each solution for the one that will work the best. Instead of having one solution, no matter what, we need to get this project out by the deadline. Sharing problem resolution responsibilities. Let's determine the type of support each one of us can give to get the project out by the deadline. Passive-aggressive behaviors are extremely challenging. Education is key to understand how to handle this particular behavior when confronted by others. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try to rectify a situation, the same patterns reemerge. If this is going on, then you must change how you talk and act to get productive results. Change your thoughts to change your world. This means taking a proactive position when interacting, especially with those who use passive-aggressive behaviors. These folks will continue to employ such actions because it works for them. By using perception checks and directly confronting the heart of the issue, you will get the answers. Just listen closely. Remember, you may not want to hear certain responses, but at least you'll know where the issues stand. It's only then that you can propose a solution. Finally, when you find someone who routinely controls situations, or you, by not talking, your only solution may be to not interact with them at all. This is a severe passive-aggressive disorder. Control is key for these folks. Often, silence is a tactic used to close down a conversation. This response shows little consideration for resolve. Protect yourself and exit these situations and/or end the relationship. Do not attempt to fix what you cannot control. You're only responsible for your behavior. Some people have habitual passive-aggressive behaviors. Some don't really know what it is that they do. Others use this method because it achieves results for them. The truth is, do not make an attempt to rehabilitate anyone's behavior. This will only add resentment and hostility to any relationship. The best thing you can do is use the solutions offered in this guide. Be mindful of your own language and behaviors. Know when to engage and when to walk away. Be practical in judgment, and always be kind. Permission has been granted from Patty Ann's Pet Project for use of the content. To learn more about the communication or to support Patty Ann's Pet Project, please visit pattyann.net.